there's no public comment, of course.
Oh, was there anything, Eve? We actually have to post this. So, and then people will email in. Nothing from county?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, no public comment then. The radio maintainer report, if we could do something a little different. I am sure that everybody read your reports, Matt, so if we could have a motion to place them on file.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second then.
Okay. Gorski was the primary. Okay, that takes care of item 5A, 1, 2, and 3. We're down to item number 6. The parent committee approval required for policy 911-5.11. Page emergency dispatch interoperable radio system DERS wave application. So Linda, if you could just to confirm in my mind then, this wave is the app that goes on the telephone.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We can open it up if you're ready. I read everything over. I just had one question about it. It looks like one of the items that you're looking for in one of the worksheets was the password, the person's password. In fact, it's on
On the spreadsheet? Yeah.
So you would actually demand our individual passwords to use the Wave app on our phone.
So I don't. That's one of those forms with an asterisk for Starcom for Motorola. So that form does two things. You know, this will be an agency application and managed by the agency. So the agency will create it and fill out this worksheet, which I did my best to do the instructions, but you can already see Matt Barman going, yeah, we're going to need help with this because it's pretty complicated. But so you add, we'll just use Addison as an example. So Addison has 6 people who want to use or who are going to use the Wave app. You fill out the talk groups and you fill out that worksheet, but then somebody in your agency keeps that because any changes you have, you fill that out again and submit right to Starcom. So we only need it, and we only need it in this, ETSB only needs it in the sense of you have it, it's completed correctly to send to Starcom. Beyond that, it's between you and Starcom keeps it so that it goes to the NOC. So if you have an app issue or you need assistance, they have all of that.
Okay.
But the internal idea is that you would have, you know, somebody who maintains that, so when you forget what your password is, they can tell you.
Okay.
Other than that, you know, we really don't have a need to retain it. I mean, we can if you think it's a good idea from an ETSB perspective, but that's a required document, and that's you know, like that's why I said when I sent it out to you, there's a lot of stuff here. These are the things you know, anything with an asterisk we can't really change. So because that all comes from Starcom. So it's kind of a FYI, but nothing you can make suggestions on.
All right, I'm good with that. Were there any other questions?
I thought it was really good. I'm glad that we finally got to this point. I think my only question was, what does Starcom need as far as the talk group name, or is it something like we have to give people the talk group IDs for them to fill us out? Like it wasn't necessarily, I tried to look at it from hey, I got to fill this out to get it. And I don't know if it's just because the table was abbreviated, didn't have really headers in the packet or not, or if I was missing something.
When you say it was missing something, did we send the whole Excel spreadsheet, Eve? I forget.
I thought you did.
So the short answer is we probably, go ahead, Eve.
Yeah, no, we did. That was part of it.
Okay, so the short answer is some of the credit of this goes to Lisa Wilkins, who provided me with all the paperwork and kind of gave me some steps. And the short answer is, what's here is here. So I don't, in terms of talk groups, what you do is you create those talk groups, and then in the form where in that page where it says the agency, the user, the first name, blah, 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 and then what profiles. So your talk groups then, so like what we would call bank one, for example, and maybe that's the name, I don't know, but we give them names. And so that's the part where I think we need to have some naming conventions so that we're not otherwise, left to their own designs. Agencies are gonna, I think we need to create naming conventions for that so that, when Addison decides to do this, they can pick from that list and we all know what talk group they're talking, or that what bank of setup they're talking about. So, and I don't know if within the stuff that Lozar's doing, he already has that identified in some way.
So, yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I guess I'm just looking at, and maybe it's just because I'm not seeing the spreadsheet. I see on 6.1.f or packet page 25, like there's what looks to be Excel spreadsheet. So I'm assuming that's the zones with all our information we have to fill out.
In Linda's email on the 27th, it's attachment E.
Oh, that's why I missed it. My bad.
And don't feel bad. I mean, it was, Lisa and I had several phone calls about this because I was like, okay, did I get this right? And I was, it took a couple of attempts for me too.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense. So
Yeah.
I see the headers in you just got the third tab in the packet, but
Yep.
That makes a lot more sense. So I'm good.
Okay, any other
Yeah,
questions?
so I think that part, I think the biggest issue in the filling out of this spreadsheet is the consistency, or the royal we, us and Lozar, Matt Barman and I will have to figure out what those naming conventions are for people so that it's consistent. Because they're talking about, although I think, and this is the other part I wasn't quite sure, you could just pick 16, but I think it's the bank. I mean, we'll have to clarify with Lisa, but and then it's just that part, you can only have what's in your radio. And then if people want something that, and then the other thing we'll have to watch is if they want something that is in the radio by agreement. Starcom's position is that just because you had it for an actual portable, it's not an inherent permission from the other agency for an app. So we have to get that taken care of. I tried. And I'm sure that came from people who were complaining about people using the Wave app on their talk groups without it, and then they didn't know. So, so if there's going to be some of those, and then I just think it's easy. And we talked to them about permission. So if like Chief Kramer identifies a fire talk group that he has from another from outside the system that he wants, if he lets us know, then we just do it blanket for everybody one time. So that's why we want them to come back to us, because then we can do it one time. And then, if Chief Gorski says later on, oh yeah, I want to add that, we don't have to go through the process again. We just do it one time.
Makes sense.
In theory. Seems like a good idea. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Other than that,
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, any other questions or anything? Anyone?
The only thing I see is just a very minor edit that needs to happen on the third bullet point on the last page 4. Just says PAC shall the authority to authorize. I'm assuming it's the PAC shall be the authority.
Probably have. Okay.
Or have, yeah.
I have it open already, Eve, so I can just put it right in there.
It's the only thing that really stood out, but I don't think I have any questions or.
Do we want to make any kind of requirement on the talk group alias name? Like, I'm assuming Morrow's fancy enough where if we give them talk group 1 is say Downers Grove, we don't want them renaming it something else, right? We want them to use the standard names that are in the radio. Is that something that you have worked out with Lisa, or something that we need to state somehow that there's only one name for each talk group ID?
Yeah, that's the part that I said probably needs a little work. What we probably could do is, or what would be easiest in theory, is to provide another attachment that lists those so people know
Okay.
what they are, and then they can cherry pick whatever. And I mean, that's why I said I figure Lozar's got that list. I don't, and if we can get it into a semi-usable form.
Yeah, we have a spreadsheet with the 150 talk groups. They have the name and the alias or the talk group ID with it. Not that it's private information. I just we don't share it widely usually, right? So I don't know that it hurts anything. It's just what we call it.
Okay, so okay, then the question would be, do you want to add it as an attachment here? Because then it would be published. If you don't want it published, and I get to your point of, the chiefs have some concern about hackers right now. So I don't know that I necessarily want to put that out on the public forum. Maybe under the naming convention sections, we can just say, list will be provided, and then we just send it out.
On request.
No, not request. We send it out because we want them to use it.
Okay. True.
So what if on the actual policy itself, under item number 4 in the complete the worksheet, letter I, where it says profile name, list the selected profile names from tab 2 for this user. Each user may have no more than 2. And then selected profile names, if we say selected profile names from the list provided.
Yeah, we can give you a list. I just did a quick search on the web. It looks like Radio Reference has a lot of the talk group names already. They're not exact word for word, but they know what they're for. Like it has all the sheriff TAC channels, TAC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It has like Ag Task channel. So it has some of that stuff on there already public.
Yeah, but we don't need to help them out. I mean, I think if we just say on the list provided, that might work just as easily.
Okay.
And that way too, if there's changes, I mean, if everybody agrees.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
All good.
Good.
Satisfied, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right then.
And then, the only other question I wanted to ask you, Matt Barman, is on the naming convention, are we using, if somebody's got a mobile, like if Chief Kramer's got a portable and a mobile, is his mobile already number 2?
Not necessarily. Usually it gets the name of like, at least on the fire side, it's the type of apparatus. So it'd be like engine, 1 or engine 2 or truck 2. On the police side, I'd have to look. I think they just went, the 3 digits and then the 1 through 100. I don't think it ties to the same person.
Okay. So is 2 going to work? Or do we want to put 8 app or?
I thought 2 was fine. I didn't know. I was thinking maybe like even WA or wave instead of 2, just so that a dispatcher caught on that it was a cell phone, not a radio. From a training side.
Yeah. I mean, and then it's completely different.
So like, ROP 01 WAV. So that's 10.
Will that work on the fire side? With the apparatus is a little bit longer.
I think we get 13 characters on the council. I think there's only, it's like 8 or 9 on the radio.
I'd have to take a look.
Yeah, it's like 8 on the radio. The first 8 will show. So I think you're okay with, even if it shows WA on the radio, people know it's the Wave app talking. I think that.
A WA designation for anybody, right?
No.
Okay.
So we did 3 digits on radios. They're usually the 2-digit for the town, and then P for police and F for fire. So as in police is ADP, as in fire is AD. There's a lot of W's, but
So if somebody doesn't have a portable individually assigned, we could go over 13 with somebody's last name.
yeah, and I think we have some pretty long ones on the council.
So maybe it should be, because it's only what appears, right? So what if we do the 3-letter designation of the agency underscore and then just wave and then whatever, because then if it's too short, we don't necessarily care, do we?
Really not unless, as long as they answer.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We're just going to use it to talk, so. I think the dispatchers like to know who it is, but I think it's going to be tough to fit in some of those names, like you said, Linda, on that little screen on the portable or on the telephone. So, but I don't know, is it identifying the individual user that important, or is it just the use of the wave radio? Everything's recorded anyways. We could always find out who it was. We would know what agency the person is from. So you definitely need to know who is using the radio or the telephone wave app.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the key up with no audio, and then people are trying to figure out, do you need help or not? And there's no response. So
Okay.
trying to determine who that is has been the word I always get from operations of how do I know whose radio is? Like, so I definitely am a strong believer of using the 3-digit abbreviation for the agency to start. So at least we know who to track down, what group to start with. And then from there, if you use last name, you use the standard number, and it gets put in a table that the agencies can look up or figure out who it is. I think I've seen flexibility there. So
can I share my screen for a second?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Hostess. Good.
Yeah, that would be more of a tech thing, and I don't know. Okay, so Mike has made you a co-host. So at the bottom, you should have a share screen up.
Right.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, are you able to see? What am I showing you?
We show number
Yeah.
4 on down to the end of the page.
Okay, good. So here's what I've inserted instead. If the users, take a minute to read it and see if that works.
It makes sense to me.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, that looks good.
It looks good to me.
Yep.
Okay. That's convenient. All right, then we'll make that adjustment and then, here I am. I had to stop it. I had to move the screen again, other way, so I could see. Okay, so, all right, that was my biggest concern in terms of naming convention, and I think if that works, I think wave is a good idea because then it's very clear what it is.
Okay, I'm with you. Are we good? Does anyone else have an issue with it? We're good. All right, you need a motion, Linda?
I'll motion.
By Matt,
Second,
seconded by Anthony.
As amended?
as amended.
Okay, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, that takes care of 6. We're up to 7, LTAC notification. Just looks like a point of information, Linda.
It is. So you we thought it was moving faster. And as we pulled the PAC just as in case we we're going to shove it through for the ETS board, but so far it can't move forward because ACDC doesn't have an agreement with them yet. Right? Is this the one I'm talking about? Oh, never mind. Every now and then I just don't know what I'm talking about. So this is okay. LTAC is there we go. Never mind. LTAC is now going to start serving Countryside. So they'll be wanting to have access to the talk groups based on their agreement. I guess the question is, do we consider that a modification or do we just allow it based on it's one of their users? We haven't run into this before.
I would consider it's just as one of their users at this point.
How do we treat Tri-State though? Tri-State had something similar, right? Or is that they wanted something more?
I don't know.
I say Tri-State, Tricom.
Did they have a request in that letter? I'm hitting a blank for a second here.
For LTAC, no. Tricom did a modification.
No need to modify this letter unless you wish to further modify the original agreement. No, I don't know what the original agreement is. If it's just, yeah, treat it as one of their users. Steve, Eric, I mean. Yes.
I think the bigger issue is going to be, if you're comfortable with them having access to the talk groups, you already gave LTAC permission. The question would be what changes we would have to make for agencies, fire agencies that would now decide, and I don't know that, and this is a part I don't know because I'm not, in terms of fire, whether or not they need Countryside. Or do they already have Countryside?
I would think that Pleasant View, because Pleasant View is really the one that's gonna be servicing Countryside, I would think that they would have something on their radios already, or at least the ability to access them.
Or whether or not it's going to change because they're moving over.
Right. I mean, I don't know how much they listen to the police channels over at Pleasant View. It was common for us back when I dispatched there, but that was going on 13 years ago.
Well, right now, we don't know. So it's status quo.
Okay, so we treat it as they're part of the system on our side. The question will just be whether or not it's going to change Countryside's talk groups, and we need to make an adjustment for those agencies working with Countryside. And then and then if that's the case, then if it needs something from PAC, we'll let you know.
Yeah, they'll need to reach out to us. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay.
I think it's fine. Okay. So I don't believe that needs any action whatsoever then.
Nope, not at this point.
Okay, thank you. Number 8, old business. Anyone? Number 9, new business. I don't have anything. Anyone?
Oh,
Number 10, next meeting, Tuesday, July 7th, 12:30. It's our regular monthly. Everybody can do it. And if we're not back together face to face, we could do another Zoom, I guess. We're all good with that. All right, number 11 is adjournment.
Move.
If you guys do the video one on July 7th, let me make sure. Nope, never mind. Look at the wrong date. I'm good.
Yeah, I might be on vacation myself. I don't know yet, but popular vacation period. So, but it's okay. All right. So who made the motion to adjourn, Matt?
Matt.
Second.
Second by Eric. Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
And Chief Romanelli, if you could just hang on, we just got a quick question to ask you about policy.
Sure.